Oh 07 citizens, Black here from Castle Black Gaming, and today I wanted to go over the latest roadmap update from a couple of days ago that was released on March 8th. I know I'm a day late, but I had a couple of 318 focus videos to get out before that was released, and with how little the roadmap seemed to have in terms of updates, or so I thought, I figured there was not much that had changed. But once again, I dug deep, ran my comparisons on my own sheet where I tracked the changes, and found some things that were not mentioned in the official verbiage given, and some things that others might have missed as well. So here we are. I followed the roadmap closely and will not waste your time going over every little item on the roadmap except for those with definite changes to make these videos short and sweet. And so if that's your thing, then please like, subscribe, and comment to help this channel grow. And so let's get to the roadmap. Alright, now before we begin, I must first point out that the nature of the monthly report is that it is constantly updated and changed, sometimes week to week. Now, just because we might not hear about a change happening when they do their every other Wednesday update does not mean that things do not get adjusted or changed before or after. Another thing is that my report is just telling you when something is showing that it's being worked on or completed on the roadmap. Sometimes there could be more teams that need to pick up these items, and their work might be added to the roadmap at a later time, which gives it a new inserted time frame and thus extending that. Now, sometimes teams work on things and their work is not noted, so again, things are not always quite what they seem. Any guesses I make here are my own, and I'm sometimes wrong, but I like the discussions that we have about the various items and welcome those of you who think I'm wrong to say so. Alright, so now let's get to the roadmap. This is a brand new deliverable that was added to the roadmap this week is for additional derelict settlements. The derelict settlements had previously been on the roadmap ending back in the fall of 2022, which is what we got in 318. So it's nice to see more being added, with these in particular being added into the Stanton system. So something we should see this year, with its current end time being the end of June. So I would expect to see these in a 320 update, likely sometime late summer, possibly August or September, since they basically were able to stick with their previous timeline for these derelicts almost exactly. I don't see this as being an issue meeting this goal, and with how easily the Rastar tool is allowing them to implement these, it will be a welcome addition. Alright, now there is just one single release view change to this roadmap, and that was the RSI links. I've been tracking this vehicle's progress for months now, so I'm glad to see it officially being added for 319. As it is what I predicted in last month's video on vehicles we could see during the 319 life cycle, and if you want to see more of that video and my predictions for what vehicles we might see in 319, I will link that at the end of this video. So with this roadmap update, if you were to just go by what was in the actual official post, you would think that was all that really happened or was changed in the roadmap, and your journey with changes would now be over. Now, I track all things roadmap, and there were around a dozen or so changes that were not mentioned, including 2 items completely removed without an explanation or time added back to the deliverables timetable. Let's get into those changes now. Aerodynamic control surfaces was pushed out from its original completed date of the 3rd week of February to the now new date of mid-May. Will it get pushed out again? Now, I would guess this is likely with how much the vehicle feature team is working on in preparations for Squadron 42, which is where the majority of vehicle changes has been going lately, and I would not expect any news on these and other changes coming to the PU until at least CitizenCon. Bounty Hunter version 2 was moved from mid-May until the 2nd week of July, so this will definitely be something we will not see until 320 at the earliest, with possibly more delays depending on how the other systems go. 3 teams extended their times, including the EU Landing Zone team, Mission Feature team, and the EU Vehicle Content team. Building interiors work has been extended, which is no surprise after seeing the work still in the concept phase during the recent Inside Star Citizen. Now, that work went from showing those teams being done the end of June, and now it's been pushed back to mid-September, in which case it will definitely be moved beyond 2023 and into 2024. But I would expect we might see the work that's being done this summer at CitizenCon, if only in a white box phase. The team working on this also covers the Derelict Outpost, Cityscape Revamp, and the Underground Facility, so these guys are quite busy, and if anything gets pushed out, I would hope it's this feature out of all of those. Now, if the marketing team really wants to push this feature as something they can sell at CitizenCon, then maybe maybe they will have some gray box modeling done for those who are dying to own their own place in a major city. Player housing will definitely be a thing long before we get to make our own outpost, and it's probably going to be a great moneymaker for CIG. I'm not saying that I'm all for this, I'm just saying to expect it. And if they really want to sell these this year, which I doubt, but it's possible, I would hope they at least have gray box models ready, but it wouldn't be the first time they sold something without any models whatsoever, so I wouldn't put it past a marketing team. Moving on. Now, this is something that magically appeared on this roadmap as being worked on from January until roughly a week ago, and that is fire hazards. The AI tech team and feature team worked on it, which if you look at the description, it says it tracks fire and temperature on static and dynamic objects, and for the initial release, it will be available on select ships. Now, this could mean a couple of things. It could have been worked on for Squadron 42, which I think is probably likely what happened here. It could also be something that is being worked on for a new ship that has not yet been announced, which we might see for Invictus. This is least likely, but I still wanted to toss the idea out there. But what do you guys think? We've definitely been seeing more engineering gameplay mentioned lately, so this could be ramping up for that, which is being teased for arriving possibly late this year. Let me know down in the comments if you're excited for fire. Alright, so freight elevators were pushed out slightly from mid-March to the end of March as the EU landing zone team needed some additional work to get this feature ready. We will probably not see this for 3.19 since it should go into Evocati any week now right after 3.18 releases, but I will put this as a maybe unless more work gets added. But I honestly do not expect to see this feature until late summer with a 3.20 release at the very earliest. But if Hopium is your thing, then get high and hope for 3.19. Jump points were moved up for some reason from June to ending around this time in March. I think the most likely scenario here is that the team who was to work on it through June was moved around and taken off this. I expect us to see this being added back to the roadmap sometime this summer at the latest, as it's not needed now, but it will be for 4.0, so this will definitely see some changes, and I'm here to track those changes for you. The Mobiglass rework has popped back up again with work ending the 3rd week of March by the Squadron 42 feature team, which tells me they have been making some adjustments or finishing touches on it, which seems to have been a theme with this, the star map, and quantum changes coming, so I'm pretty sure this does not mean we are close to seeing these, just that they're still being adjusted and fine-tuned. If we don't see any of these major UI items on an Inside Star Citizen by this summer, then I will write them off as being something we don't get until 4.0. I'd love to see them in a 3.20 patch, but I'm losing hope for that scenario. The new player experience was bumped back a few weeks from the beginning of March to the end of March as the narrative team requires more work. I fully expect to see this in 3.19 as the release view currently shows, especially for the new players that are going to be coming for Invictus, so I think this is nothing to be worried about. Persistent Hangar saw a big pushback as the USPU gameplay feature team requires more work. It went from showing the work being completed by the 3rd week of May, and now it's been pushed back to the middle of September. This might be something we see shown at CitizenCon, but maybe not released until 4.0 or late quarter 2023, if they even have an update at that point. Pyro space stations also saw a bump from the teams working on it being finished mid-February, and now the EU Landing Zone 1 team added work to be completed by mid-August. This isn't a feature coming until 4.0 at the earliest anyway, so there's no harm here. Alright, so for those fans of space mines, I've got terrible news for you. The work on those has been removed from the deliverables without anything put back in its place, so might this be the end of those for 2023? Now, I'll continue to monitor them, but with everything else going on, I cannot see them being a feature CIG is eager to work on for this year. The third-person camera has also been removed from the deliverables list without being added back on, so better camera views during ground vehicle driving will have to wait. This wasn't a huge feature, so I don't think many will weep for it, but I was looking forward to the new ground vehicle camera angles when they exploded. Alright, so last but not least is underground facilities. They were moved out from the 2nd week of April to the 2nd week of July. The MTL Sandbox team and the EU Sandbox 2 team will be hard at work on these, and although I don't expect them to be completed in July, they could be. My guess is if we see some gray boxing around June, the work on them might be ready by late summer, assuming the missions teams will have missions ready for them as well. If not, then this might be a feature we don't see until fall or winter, which then pushes us into 4.0 testing, so it could possibly get bumped out to 4.0 or beyond. As fast as the team has gotten the basic floors in place during the white box though, it's pretty impressive, and I'll hold out a little hope for a 3.20 release late summer, if only to try and be positive for you guys. Alright, and so that concludes this roadmap update. Now, the more I do of these and follow the roadmap, the happier I am that I do, just so we get a better picture of what's being worked on and just how things can change or be removed. Even when I'm wrong, I still enjoy hearing from you and discussing what we're looking forward to and our guesses on when things will come out. Now, remember to be kind to your fellow gamer, put your trust in 2 droids to deliver a message and never just one, and stay positive, citizens.